Growing up here, life was simple. Every day you knew what to expect. You knew you were just gonna walk over your cousin's house and you're gonna spend the day outside, just enjoying life, the country, these trees, these woods. I can't help but have this smile on my face. It was a refreshing time, a time with family. My name is Fernando Harnett. I've been with Cummins 26 and a half years. We're in my hometown, Carrollton, Mississippi, Kuala, Mississippi. It's where I grew up, it's where my family live, it's who I am. This is the primarily black neighborhood. We call it the projects, right? We call it the hill. You come up that little hill, you're in the black community. And this was sort of where people, if you had a decent job, you could afford one of these houses, where people aspired to move to. But yeah, I lived in the country, about 15 miles south of here. And when I say country, out in the woods. I tell people one of the best things about Carrollton is leaving Carrollton. And for me, that was so true. All right, and so this is Kuala, Mississippi. This is where I actually grew up. This was my grandfather's house. I hadn't been down here in years. It has grown up significantly. Wow. All this was clear when I last was here. I need to come home more often. Wow. But yeah, my grandfather built this house. My grandfather moved here because of the water line. But my parents, we stayed, I don't know, another 3-4 miles west of here. And we didn't have running water. The water line wasn't there. And we came here to my grandfather's house to get drinking water. And believe it or not, we had a small pond where we lived. And we would go to that pond to get water to take baths. And you'd see, you know, nice brick houses, new cars, new trucks. And here, right, we were carrying water from a pond just to have a bath. And I remember my father trying to get a loan to buy our house and just being turned down. And we ended up having to buy a burned house across town that was actually on the water line to get running water. A lot of memories here. When I think about this community, the segregation, the racism, and the history of it, it's still here, it's still active. And just growing up there, people came to accept that. That was just a way of life. And it was a town divided. In North Carrollton, that's where the blacks live, and there was a stark difference when you crossed that bridge. If you lived in Carrollton, you had a nice home. You had a nice life. At least that's what it looked like as a kid looking in. And once you crossed that bridge, life became a bit tougher. Coming back and looking at it and now understanding all the more insidious, covert forms of racism, systemic racism, institutional racism, you see it with a different lens. You feel second class. I want more for my family, my cousins, and I want to change it. That's why this work is so important to me personally. If I can change and affect real change here at home, then there's a chance that we can change the U.S. And I want to start here. So the events of 2020, the death of George Floyd, was a pivotal point in how people view systemic racism in the U.S. And unfortunately, Mr. Floyd had to give his life to awake the consciousness of America. But that's what it did.
Cummins, we've had a long history of breaking some barriers. When Erwin Miller marched with Martin Luther King, and we have this long history and legacy of being outspoken about diversity and about rights of African Americans, among others. But it still made me wonder, but are we taking enough actual action? How egregious does it need to be before we will actually act? The CARE initiative was really, part of that response of saying, what else would we do to be a better ally than we are?
Well, have you ever been on a ride-along before?
No, I haven't. I'm excited.
Okay.
I'm fortunate. I've never been in a police car.
It's better being that seat than that seat, so
Oh,
you're getting a better
I
perspective.
agree. The view's a lot clearer up here. So Dane, I'm sure you've heard of Cummins CARE, Cummins Advocating for Racial Equity. And for me personally, I'm drawn to criminal justice reform, police reform, because I've personally lived it in Memphis, where I think the police sort of just abused their authority. And so it's something I'm passionate about, just making sure the system works for everyone.
I mean, the people that work at Cummins make up the community. So I myself and the sheriff's office is always looking for input and ways to improve and to actually listen to the community. So having Cummins come in, that again makes up the community, just makes the most sense.
The CARE program has 3 pillars: criminal justice reform, social justice, and economic empowerment. We are changing laws, we are changing policies, we are changing systems, and we're doing it at every level, at a local level, at a state level, and even at a federal level, a national level, when we think about voting rights. So we are making a difference, we're making our voice heard, and I think that's important.
I believe that if you're just giving money and not diving in yourself, your ability to understand the issue really and to understand what's really needed is limited.
We all have a responsibility to do something, and I'm proud to work for a company that's taking action.